Music, dance, theater. It's time to take a seat on the aisle with Tom Alvarez. Hear from performers, producers, presenters, and creators who enrich our lives in the performing arts. Who's on stage? Here is Tom Alvarez to introduce you.
Hello, and welcome to On the Aisle with yours truly, Tom Alvarez. My guests are Heather and Daniel Narducci. Heather is a singer, actor, teacher, and therapeutic musician. David is a multidiscipline artist whose talents have been captured through live stage presentations, recordings, documentaries, and television.
Without a song, the day would never end. Without a song, the road would never bend. When things go wrong, a man ain't got a friend without a song. That field of corn would never see a plow. That field of corn would be deserted now. A man
You are listening to Daniel Narducci sing Without a Song from his CD, Joy, Joy, Joy. Join me now as I go on the aisle for a conversation with Heather and Daniel. Welcome, Heather and Daniel. It's so great having you here. It's fun that I cover arts events, of course. There's no better place to book people than at arts events. And I booked you as you were walking down the aisle out of the Hilbert after the great, fantastic Indianapolis Opera 50th anniversary concert. I talked with you, Heather, at the reception that followed. Is that right?
That's correct.
And then we got this show on the road back then. So wasn't that fun, though? Were you taken
Great.
back? Were you taken back as you're walking out the door?
It was wonderful. I was like, hey, there's Tom. Great.
Having covered the arts, the last time that I saw both of you perform, Daniel, I saw you in A Little Night Music, in which you co-starred with Heather. And I believe that's the last time that prior to the opera, the concert, which, by the way, was, I wrote about it, and I said I felt it was a once-in-a-lifetime event. It truly was.
Oh, absolutely.
Just the fact that it was an organization's 50th anniversary, that's not going to happen again. And that assemblage of talent under one roof is remarkable. And the quality of the thing, the way the production itself, just can't, I can go on and on about it. It was so incredibly inspiring. And of course, seeing you and Heather and you, Daniel, co-starring as Desiree and Friedrich in A Little Night Music. Was that last year?
That was last year.
We were on a walk this morning with our golden doodles up in Yorktown where we have a home. And we were just reminiscing about last year because we couldn't remember the exact dates, and I looked on my phone and looked at pictures.
And it was, about this time.
And so it was just a few days prior to this date that we had our weekend of performances in A Little Night Music.
Well, it was truly magical, and of course I wrote about that as well. Do you guys read your reviews?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Some people claim they don't read reviews at all.
I will say, Tom, though, if I'm in an extended run, I don't like the reviews to influence anything because something might be said that maybe you take wrong and it can affect things.
But I think reviews can help the patrons understand a little bit more about the show that they're perhaps going to see or pondering going to see. So I think they serve a lot of roles just past the perception and the opinion of one individual.
Sure.
So
I was reflecting on that. I was going to bring this up a bit. I always tell people that it is my opinion, folks.
Correct, yeah.
And I like to think that based on my wide experience that I bring a different perspective than most. I don't call myself a critic. I believe a critic exists in a place like New York City where there's brand new work. I've seen a lot of stuff 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
I know I've seen night music at least 3 or 4 times. Different professional, educational. So my broadcasting background, I think I see myself more as a reporter. I like to put people there. I pulled that off, and I felt like I was there. So try to capture. I don't write for musicians, by the way, when I write about music. I'm certainly not an opera expert, but I know
it's
what
your
I
impression.
like. I know what I like,
Yeah.
and I've heard the best around the world.
Yeah.
And you guys, but you guys represented for me. It was flawless. I mean,
thank you.
that
Thank you.
Performance was really magical. The whole cast, the entire cast. Remind me, who directed that?
That was
Scott Perry.
Scott, and he's also directing the current production of West Side Story, which opens tomorrow with the
that's at
Indianapolis
the
Opera at the
zoo.
zoo.
Yes.
Yeah. But talking a little bit about the cast last year, just for a moment.
Sure.
One of the joys that we had, and I think we actually spoke about it on your studio stage right next door for an interview during that time period, we all collaborated so well because not only did we bring our individual skill sets, but everyone was so nice, Tom. We all were people who were collaborative not only as performing artists, but as human beings. And I think that shows when you are working together with people who are cooperative, who care about one another, and it's genuine. And that from the first day, we commented, oh my gosh, we all work so well together because everyone in the cast was so supportive of one another. And I feel that made the show translate so well with not only the material, but also the human element of the individuals, really caring about each other as a cast.
Well, I tell you, I perceive that because, as I said earlier, I wear a lot of hats. One of them is I'm a director and a producer, and I cast people, and I manage people. So I can tell. Sometimes there's really good acting going on. At the same time, I think it shows up artistically.
Yes.
You've got an ensemble. You can tell the way they click and the way they listen to each other, the way they respond. The performances are just really unique. Not everybody could see that in the way I do, I think.
Sure. Yeah.
But but more importantly, it moved me emotionally. It really did. And of course, I've heard Send in the Clowns millions of times. Who hasn't? I've heard it in the elevator. I've heard it in the grocery store. But I shall always remember your interpretation of that. The last time I saw a production was at the IRT and Sylvia McNeil.
Sylvia.
Yeah, she's a friend of ours.
Yeah, I figured as much
Yeah.
because you have those Bloomington ties. Let's talk about Bloomington is central to both of your lives. For all kind of reasons, notwithstanding the fact that you're both educated there. So give me a thumbnail sketch. We'll go back and forth. So Heather, let's start with you and give me a thumbnail sketch of your career. I want to paint a portrait of the two of you. And one of the reasons I wanted you on together is I love having couples on. Be they married, romantic, just partners, musical directors. I even had two twins. You may have heard of them, the Koharchik brothers.
Oh, yes.
They were on this show. They're twins. And they're, they both sets and lights and remarkable. Remarkable.
It's a connection there.
Yeah, you guys are like the Luntz of the opera or musical theater.
Sure,
Yeah, that's why I had to hear you together.
Yeah, thank you again for inviting us, and we're really happy to be here. I grew up and I was born in Bloomington. My dad was part of the Indiana University School of Continuing Education as associate dean for years, and my mom was a music teacher in the school system. I'm an only child, and so my parents immersed me from birth, really, into their world of the arts. They loved all art culture in Bloomington, and what a place to grow up, because not only did I have the benefit of a great college town, but a wonderful music school there, and the IU Auditorium, of course, brought in, much like Clues Hall.
Where did you go to
here.
high school there?
I was at Bloomington High School South.
Okay.
So I was a Panther. We attended all of the operas growing up and all of the musicals and concerts, and so I was really exposed to quite a bit of culture from the time I was little. And that was a great benefit. Plus, we traveled all over the world. My parents, as educators, wanted me to understand.
What did they teach?
My dad was an administrator in continuing education. So he had a passion for helping people who had graduated come back to school and continue their education.
Gotcha.
My mom was a music teacher in
Okay.
the elementary schools. But at any rate, we traveled all over the world when I was a kid, and they wanted me to understand the respect and the exposure of different cultures. And I learned a lot about people and places, and so that helped me a lot grow.
So you
as
have
I,
a world view.
Yeah, from the time I was a little kid, then growing into my high school and college years, and went to the Jacobs School of Music as an undergrad. And it was like a community college to me in a sense, and I'm not diminishing the school, but what I mean is I had always grown up there, and it was so comfortable for me to just step
So
right
it didn't
in.
have that mystique
No.
that's attached to a lot of people
No.
for good reason. It's got an incredible worldwide reputation.
But I was so lucky to have that growing up, and I didn't appreciate that until after I graduated and moved to New York and recognized what a special place Bloomington was with a little life experience. But I grew up in the IU Children's Choir there, and I was in the opera chorus and had a marvelous
You were
experience.
born in a trunk.
Yeah. And then when I was at IU, my junior year, we were asked to go to Tanglewood and perform for Leonard Bernstein's 70th birthday. And we performed his Mass. Bernstein's
my
Mass, and I was
goodness.
part of the street chorus. I was a nurse, and he came on stage after the performance and stood right next to us, and it was a thrill of a lifetime to be there to celebrate his 70th birthday, but that the IU Jacobs School of Music was the group of students asked to be part of that special occasion.
Wow, talk
Yeah.
about rarefied experiences. Yeah.
So that was a very huge moment in my life as a young performer. I was 20, and to have that
Were you
opportunity.
able to understand the gravitas of the moment?
No. I think when you're younger,
Yeah.
and especially when you have those
Sure.
wonderful experiences that when you look back on, I'm 57 now, so I've had time to reflect back and say,
Wow.
that's not something that you get to do in a lifetime.
Yeah, but when you're that age,
Yeah.
you're not expected to.
You take it in, and that's something that Dan and I have talked about throughout our life. When you're younger, you just perform
go,
and you
you-
do things.
Now, you
don't
have a
think
child,
about them.
correct?
Yeah,
Tell
our
me-
son Nick.
And tell
you
me
can,
about-
you can
Yes.
tell.
Nick's 24 now.
Okay.
He is a talented pianist, but as he moved along, he was studying with
David
David
Cartledge.
Cartledge at IU, who's one of the renowned faculty members. But as he was moving through his career in high school, he determined that he didn't have what it took to sit in a practice room for 4 hours on end, just working the craft. He liked the collaborative aspects, and he's very gifted. But he took a turn then into the Kelley School of Business. That's where he graduated a couple of years ago. But what ended up happening is he took those piano chops, the classical piano chops, and leaned them into the jazz field. And so his last year, really, when he was with the Bloomington High School North Jazz Band, they were winning all sorts of competitions, and he ended up spending a summer at Ball State in their program. They have a week program, Ball State Jazz Festival. But now Nick is in real estate.
Okay.
And he is growing his real estate enterprise under the umbrella of Don Griffin down in Bloomington,
Okay.
and doing quite well.
So, is he still playing?
He does when he's at our house, and we have that beautiful
He doesn't do,
Steinway.
like, gigs on the
No,
side,
no.
So
Okay.
Tom,
Yeah.
that young man listened to every voice student we had in the house. He could sing the vocal exercises backward and forward, but he never deemed himself a singer. And I think that happens to kids sometimes.
Right.
They want to pave their own way. And
Sure.
even though he has the ability, he really wanted to carve out his own
And it
path.
sounded like he supported that.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
We always
You like Mama Rose.
No.
Well, I must say, though, Tom, when Nick said, I'm not going to pursue piano, there was a bit of sadness in that.
Well, there was sadness.
Sadness and
relief, because as performing artists, he watched us, and we've been very lucky. Dan has
Yeah.
always made his living as a performing artist. As a couple, we've been married almost 31 years. There's been a teamwork that
Sure.
we incorporated into how we build our life. So when Dan was performing a lot on the road, I made a choice early on in our careers to be the person who stayed home and was the foundation
Sure.
so that we could have a child, so that we could have a normal life in the way in which we thought was normal, the way we were raised.
Sure.
And having that stability, I think, helped us continue to be a strong couple.
It just occurred to me, you do have something in common in your professions. In real estate, that's feast or famine.
Yeah.
That's right, exactly.
Nicholas observed that we were always self-employed individuals. I had a voice studio for 30 plus years in our home, and it was very successful, and he saw that there were a lot of advantages to being a self-employed individual, but he also, and I don't think when you're a child you see the struggle so much, but I think he also saw that we had to be careful with a lot of different aspects of being self-employed.
The whole thing about you're being aware of that moment with Leonard Bernstein. Your son met a lot of famous people.
Yeah.
And he was in rarefied situation. How about him? How did he take off?
I can point to one in particular.
You're going to say Jerry Herman?
Jerry Herman, yeah, same one. So I was singing down in Naples with the Naples Philharmonic.
And by the way, I saw that on. Did you sing with Jack Everly?
I've sung with Jack, over the years.
Did he have the orchestra back then?
Well, that was Eric Kunzel.
So this one was with Don Pippin, who was Jerry's primary conductor.
Oh, I see.
Conducted a lot of his original
For
shifts.
listeners, I've been accused of being, this is too insider, so when we drop names, we need to tell people who these folks are.
Yeah.
So, hey.
Yeah, Jerry Herman was well known for, Hello Dolly, is it Mame? Whole host of La Cage aux Folles, all some fantastic musicals. And he was a legend, and was a legend back then when I performed with him. This would have been, I want to say, 2003, 4, in that time frame.
You've touched a lot of greatness in that musical theater career.
Oh, yeah.
As well,
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Nick came to, I think it was a Friday performance, and he came backstage before the performance, and we knocked on Jerry's door and introduced Nick to him. And
he
Nick
was 3.
Yeah, he was 3.
Yeah.
Okay. And Nick sang something.
Oh, he sang. We had just been talking about West Side Story, actually, which is funny that we're seeing that tomorrow. Right. And he loved "I Like to Be in a Melody," and so he started.
So Nick started singing, and Jerry looked at me.
Herman.
He's, look out for this kid.
He must have been charmed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So talk about your background.
I was born in South Bend, but my dad was working for a company called Uniroyal back then. We know them as the tire company. And about from age 5 on, I was in Connecticut, and that's where I was raised primarily. Sang in a rock band, sang and played guitar in a rock band in high school, and had a fantastic guitar teacher who was guiding me into playing jazz rock fusion, which then guided me towards pursuing jazz guitar at Western Connecticut State University in Danbury, Connecticut. As I got into that program, I started having musical experiences. I was in choirs as a requirement for the degree, as well as guitar ensemble. But it was the choirs that started to give me some inspiration. For instance, there was an audition for a tenor solo in Schubert Mass. And so I thought, well, let's just go ahead and try that.
That's quite a leap from rock to
exactly.
Schubert,
And so I did it, and I landed the role and sang that particular performance, and then that lit a fire under me as far as the classical side of vocal presentation. And I quickly outgrew that program as far as what I wanted to do with my goals. At the time, it's much evolved, but at the time I was looking elsewhere. And I called my uncle, who was teaching at the University of Nebraska in Omaha, and he had studied at IU, received his doctorate from IU back in the 60s. And he said, Daniel, if you're looking for a place to go, I can't think of any better place for you than IU. And so I did. I drove out with my dad and did what we call an ad hoc audition, because this all happened very fast in the summer.
What year?
This would have been 1987.
Okay.
Yeah. And I auditioned in July and found myself out at IU in August. And went right into the program. And
that's when we met.
That's when we met, yeah. Heather at that time had just come back from a trip to Greece and was beautiful, tan, etc. And we both ended up in the same voice studio of Vera Scammon. And The first thing that Vera did was hosted all of her students, and she was teaching at that time off campus in her house. And it was she had a beautiful ballroom-sized area in the lower part of her home with parquet floors.
Like
it was
in a historic home?
No, it was a condo, but just a beautiful, big, spacious, And so we each sang for each other, and I remember Heather singing "Glitter and Be Gay," and I was just gobsmacked.
From Candide.
From Candide,
yes. Leonard Bernstein.
And I just remember seeing her and was knocked over with her talent, and she was stunningly beautiful, and I thought, this is a person way out of my league.
What were you thinking?
I was dating another guy who wasn't being very nice to me. So I saw him and I thought he was awfully cute and I loved his voice. So I walked up to him and I said, "Hi, I'm Heather. My maiden name is Hertling." And he said, "Hi," and he ran away.
What was going on in your mind?
Oh,
he was
like,
shocked.
my gosh. Yeah, she's amazing.
But I remember going back to my dorm room and my roommates asked me how the event went. And I said, "I think I met a guy that I could fall in love with." And so a few months later, we were at another event performing together.
Yeah.
And that's when we started really talking. And I'd broken up with the other guy, and we started dating in December.
I love those stories. If you say, "I knew I was going to marry you,"
Yeah.
or marry
Oh, we
him,
knew it from the beginning.
Love at first sight, and all
Right.
that stuff. That mysterious.
Well, I'll tell you another funny part. Are you going to say it? Wunderbar? Are you going to tell him about that?
You go ahead and.
So our teacher asked us to sing at a retirement community in Bloomington, which is still in existence. It's called Meadowood. It's a wonderful place. And we hadn't seen each other since August. My mom was sitting in the front row, and Daniel was sitting next to her. Now, they'd never met, but it was just coincidence or synchronicity.
Yeah.
And I was singing "My Heart Belongs to Daddy" by Cole Porter. And I decided, for some reason in the moment, to use Dan as my prop. And so I was very flirtatious, and I was twirling his hair and sat on his lap, and my mother was mortified. I was raised in a very conservative home by two very conservative educators, and then to watch her daughter in a very...
Fawning over
this guy who my mother didn't even know, and she was glaring at me, and I was having the best time. And so then after that, we started talking, and our voice teacher was having a gathering for the holidays, and asked us if we would sing a duet, the two of us. And I'm sure our teacher Vera saw some sparks and wanted to help it along.
What was the duet?
So he came to my dorm lobby, and there was a grand piano. And I was scheming, Tom. I always had a plan. So I played the piano, and I had an anthology, and there were lots of duets from musical theater that a baritone and soprano could sing. But I wanted to choose a duet where there was physical contact. So I said, "Do you know that duet from Kiss Me Kate called Wunderbar?" Because
I
we
didn't know
can
it.
waltz. So
Yeah.
we learned that, and we ended up waltzing and laughing and having several hours in that dorm lobby. And
That started
that's
it all.
really where
You know what?
I knew.
The filmmaker hat that I have on, I could just see it. I could
Well,
see
it
it. We'll
was...
have to recreate that someday in
Yeah.
some film
Right.
somewhere.
It was really a beautiful moment.
That's a lovely story.
And then we've had lots of adventures since
You
then.
really are a showbiz couple, for gosh sake. Oh, you got,
Yeah.
of course, you have a repertoire that's got to be, I can't imagine how many songs you actually know.
Well,
Both
we've-
of you
Quite
in
a
the
few
musical
over the
theater
years,
kind of-
yeah.
We've loved having opportunities,
Yeah.
and that's why A Little Night Music was really a dream come true for
Yeah.
us. Because as we've gone through life, we haven't taken enough time to create opportunities for ourselves and also be in shows together.
Okay, I'm going to jump around again. I'm
Good.
going to ask you, Daniel, about that evening with those singers. And as you talk about them, share who some of these people are so people will know. Talk about gravitas. Talk about the history of opera on that stage.
Right. Oh, you mean the gala?
The gala, yeah.
Yeah, of course. I can tell you a story of the
And
rehearsal.
by the way, when was that? I'm blanking.
Oh,
on it.
March
Is
the
this-
22nd?
Yes,
Yeah,
there you go.
yeah.
Just recently, yeah.
Yeah, what was interesting is leading up to the performance, we had a rehearsal on Thursday night, and there was a reception before where it was just like family hour. A number of people, Gran Wilson, for instance, a tenor I first worked with back in the early 90s in Central City with the Central City Opera. And so there's Gran. He had taught at the University of Maryland for the last part of his career and has just retired like right now. There's Gran. Of course, Angela Brown is just an Indianapolis treasure. And I've known Angela for decades
She's been
at
on
this
the
point.
show, long-time friend.
Yep,
Great.
yep.
Oh, yeah. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
Greg Touret, who was my Rodolfo in La Boheme in 2018, also goes all the way back to the 90s. Jane Dutton was a colleague
She
of
was-
ours
when she
back
was a
at
classmate.
NIU.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, all of them. There were
Old home
15.
week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was this feeling. It was so special and terrifying.
Why?
Because here we have all of these people that we know in the profession, and for instance, the terrifying part wasn't the performance, it was the rehearsal. And the rehearsal, I'll give you a little bit of how this went. So we had the chorus there, and the rehearsal flow addressed all of the chorus numbers. And then the chorus left, and it was the 15 of us with Maestro Savia. And
Was this at the Bastille thing?
yes.
The
So
Bastille, which is owned by the opera, and it's on Pennsylvania, former Greek church.
Yeah, yeah.
For those listening.
Yeah, and it's a modified gymnasium, which is the rehearsal space now. And the piano was there, and there was basically, they had marked off the stage. And each of us, all 15 of us, stood up one after the other, with each of us watching and listening. That was the terrifying part.
I've heard this before. It's one thing for the public, but another thing for your peers.
Oh, yeah, yeah. But the thing
In front of
about it
your
is that,
peers.
yeah, we all lifted each other up, and it was one great performance after another.
Yeah.
That eventually is what you saw on Saturday
Well, of
evening.
course, Salvia, he set the tone, I'm sure,
Right.
make everybody relax
Yep.
and all of that. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
So you were able to get past those jitters and just relax. And
Yep.
then, then all of you then, again, lifted each other up, as you said. And when you're surrounded by greatness, you want to be great
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a-
So I remember, for instance, Bob McFarlane, who sang the prologue from Pagliacci. I remember Vera Scammon.
McFarlane, who was made he
Baritone,
became famous
yeah.
on the Met. At
Yep,
the Met.
Met sang all around the world,
Yeah.
all the major opera houses. And he opened the performance with his prologue. And he's been around for quite a bit. I think he won the Met competition in like 1975. And yet, at his age now, he sang so beautifully. It was absolutely, from a pedagogical standpoint, to listen to him sing in that way and just express beauty of tone, but a passion, a depth. That was very special, and that set the tone for the whole evening.
And of course, it's to the IO's credit that all these people made a point of making that thing happen, too. I interviewed Alfred on this podcast. He talked about how in the beginning there was a thought that they would ask people to do pro bono, but then David Starkey insisted, no, we value these artists. They make a living, and how is this any different? And people were offered a stipend. That was not an issue for anybody.
No,
They,
not at all.
There wasn't anybody who said no. Yeah. That really had some meaning, didn't it? for
Absolutely,
everybody?
yeah.
Yeah, everyone wanted to be there. That showed me there was a great deal of love and affection for the organization
Yeah.
that helped nurture them. Is that correct?
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
My time with Indie Opera goes back to 1990, when I would be invited in to sing some of their outreach things from time to time. It was just a one-off paid gig, shall we say, with some of their young artists if they needed a baritone. And then that led to me being cast as Sam in The Pirates of Penzance. And that was my first major role with an opera company.
Let's take a break and listen to Heather and Daniel sing Anything You Can Do, I Can Do Better from the musical Annie, Get Your Gun.
Anything you can do, I can do better. I can do anything better than you. Yes, I can.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Anything you can be, I can be greater. Sooner or later, I'm greater than you.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I can shoot a partridge with a single cartridge.
I can get a sparrow with a bow and arrow.
I can live on bread and cheese.
And only on that,
Yes.
so can a rat.
Anything you can sing, I can sing higher.
I can sing anything higher than you.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can. Anything you can buy, I can buy cheaper. I can buy anything cheaper than you.
50 cents.
40 cents.
30 cents.
20 cents.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Anything you can say, I can say softer.
I can say anything softer than you.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
I can drink my liquor faster than a flicker.
I can drink it quicker and get even sicker
I can open any safe.
without getting caught.
Sure.
That's what I thought. You're crook.
Any note you can hold, I can hold longer.
I can hold any note longer than you.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Yes, you can.
Anything you can wear, I can wear better. In what you wear, I look better than you.
In my coat,
In your vest,
in my shoes.
in your hat.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Anything you can say faster.
I can say anything faster than you.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
You can't.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
I can jump a hurdle.
I can wear a girdle.
I can knit a sweater.
I can fill it better.
I can do most anything.
Can you bake a pie?
No.
Neither can I.
Any note you can sing, I can sing sweeter.
I can sing anything sweeter than you.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
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 No, you can't, can't, can't.
Yes, I can. Yes,
Heather, one thing that struck me, and I want to get to because I don't want to miss talking about it. My mother died 7, 8 years back, and she suffered dementia for the last 3 years of her life. And so myself and my family went through that whole period with her. And so I have become very educated about that disease. And I've been very interested in work that's being done in terms of collaborating with the arts to help those suffering. And so tell our audience about your work with the Alzheimer's group that you were involved in. And you started an effort.
Yeah.
So tell us about it.
Yes, so as a musician, as I continue to grow, I realize that there are many hats we can wear as a performing artist, as a teacher, but also as someone, if you're called to do this, using music in a healing capacity. And music is such a powerful way to help reach those who have dementia, have Alzheimer's, because many times the spoken word is not able to reach a person the way the musical vibration and the musical word can. And it just evolved naturally for me, Tom. I can't even tell
Did you have someone in your family?
No.
Or your circle?
No, but I just think that it was in my personality. I've always been someone who likes to help others. And so during my college years, we always took the time to outreach into the retirement communities and present programs. That was something I always enjoyed doing as a young singer. It gave me performance opportunities.
So you would go to nursing homes
Yeah.
and do Broadway and opera?
Yeah.
Both of you?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
we did that in college
Yeah.
together.
Okay.
But then when I graduated from IU, I moved to New Jersey. My parents were not keen on me living in New York City as their only child and as a young woman. So we compromised, and I lived in Jersey. And I became involved in the Miss America organization.
I saw that
And,
too.
and so when I became Miss New Jersey, one of the outreach opportunities is to create a cause that you pursue for that year of engagement title holder as Miss New Jersey. And I very easily knew that I was going to be attracted to using music in a healing capacity. And I quickly partnered with the New Jersey Alzheimer's Association, and I went around the tri-state area to nursing care facilities for Alzheimer's daycare clients. And I created a program, about a 30-minute program, where I would incorporate music that may be familiar to their generation, the majority of those people who had Alzheimer's at that time. Big band songs
Sure.
and musical theater.
World
and
War II generation.
Right, because this was back in the 90s,
Irving
1990s.
Berlin
Yeah,
and all
Blue
the,
Skies and Don't Sit Under the Apple Tree. And then I would throw in some operatic pieces. And I would like to tell you a quick story, if I may.
ahead.
There was a gentleman who looked pretty young to me to have Alzheimer's. I would say he was maybe 40. And this one particular day, I was at a daycare facility to give the caregivers a little break. And they had this gentleman sitting right in the front row. As I began my performance, I would walk around to each person in the audience, and they had name tags, and I would just thank them for being there. I was wanting to make a connection before I even sang. I sang Musetta's waltz, Quando men vo, which people may be familiar with. Quando men vo. It's used a lot in commercials, but it's a more popular aria from the operatic repertoire. And after I finished my program, this gentleman who had been very distant with his disease looked me right in the eye. He was engaged, he was present, and he said to me, "I want to thank you for singing that song." He said, "My mother was an opera singer. She would sing around the house, and that was a song I remember her singing." And his sister was sitting next to him crying, and she was affirming that what he was telling me was accurate. And he said to me, "I haven't been able to remember my mother's face until you started singing." And he said,
lovely.
"As you sang, I saw my mother again." And so, Tom, after that experience, I realized, for me, there was a real power to what we can share as musicians to others who have Alzheimer's, dementia, but for any person. Think about how we use music for celebrations, for weddings, for funerals, for just lifting us throughout the
Well,
day.
know that there are more of us, boomers. I'm 77.
Yeah.
Sooner or later, there are going to be a lot of people from the 60s
Yeah.
in nursing homes who
Yeah.
you're going to go sing
The
Joni
Beatles
Mitchell,
and-
Right, Jim Baez.
Yeah.
And,
You're going to bring back.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you're aware, but perhaps you are, that Michael Feinstein is very much involved in this work.
Yeah.
He's very quiet about it, but
Yeah.
he is known to go to nursing homes and play the piano and sing the Great American Songbook selections.
That's
and
wonderful.
Beautiful.
It means a lot to him.
Yeah.
And did you know Marianne Tobias, its patron of philanthropy, she always made sure people say it's not art therapy that I do, but she was involved in some groundbreaking work regarding the relationship between the brain and music. And so it's based on that theory that...
Oh, there's science
There's
that
a-
backs it up.
Yeah,
It's not just a
yeah.
feel-good thing.
And I take hope that the fact that my mother had dementia, I fear that could happen to me. And Fortunately, I'm still very creative, but there's no guarantee. So
No.
it makes me feel good to know
Yeah.
that maybe I will be sitting in some nursing home and someone will start playing musicals.
Yeah.
And that
It
I've got
lights
50
your world,
years
yeah.
of memory. I hope I don't lose that.
You won't.
No.
And I
Yeah.
think that music can continue to be a part of everyone's life in whatever
So
capacity
you're a
you need.
caregiver.
I'm an empath. I'm a healer in some ways.
Yeah.
And when I say healer, I'm not
I
being bold to say
understand.
that. But when I say healer, I mean I'm someone who has the intention of helping you, make you feel better. And I do that through music. I'm a Reiki practitioner, energy, and
And
harp.
harp.
So a few years back, I became certified as a harp
I saw that.
therapeutic practitioner.
So now you can brag on her. Tell me about her qualities in this area.
Oh my, Heather is just, what she just described is that she has the best of intentions for those who are sitting in front of her, both her clients and pretty much anyone that she meets. That empathic quality, it finds itself in grocery stores and other things where people will come up and all of a sudden their life story spills out in front of Heather and they just share things.
So
And
you're naturally curious.
yeah.
I love people,
Yeah.
and my heart is in the right place, Tom.
I
You
can
know,
see
and when I taught all of those years,
Yeah.
I feel that a lot of the teaching was obviously learning singing,
Yeah.
but I specialized in the young developing voice with middle school, high school age, college students, and I loved that age group because I feel like they felt very comfortable with me. I cared about them, and I took the time to listen.
What are this guy's qualities?
Oh.
Oh, Daniel. The name Daniel to me has always sounded strong but very kind. And that's how Daniel is with people. He's a very kind person, and he shows that kindness with his students at Ball State. He shows that kindness as a husband. He loves to garden. He shows that
So
kindness.
he's an empathetic. What's the word?
Empath. An
Empath.
empath. Yes.
I haven't heard that
Yeah.
often. That's a good
Yeah.
word. Yeah.
And Dan he's when you've been with somebody for such a long time, as a friend and a spouse and a colleague, it's hard to put how you feel and what they mean to you into words. And I don't know if I can adequately describe a word for him,
Yeah.
but he's just a guy that you would always want to be around because he always has your back and always.
This is a video podcast. I wish I could describe for people. We're sitting in a podcast studio, and you're sitting across from me. One thing I noticed about you, you have this blazing eye contact. It's really great, though. I really like that a lot. I'm communicating with
Right.
someone. Your eyes reflect your soul. Open,
Yeah.
it seems.
Yeah, and that phrase is something that comes up in my work with
You know,
students.
the eyes being the mirror
Yeah.
of the soul.
Yes,
and all that stuff.
absolutely.
And when you're on stage, you communicate because of this quality.
the
You
eyes are
connect.
the eyes are always, and when I'm working with my students, I teach them this technique is that we can look down, but once we look down, we separate from the audience.
Isn't that funny? I had someone in here, I'm not going to name names, but this person would not give me eye contact. But then I realized she's an artist, that she was shy. I could see her after she saw that she didn't have any need to be threatened by me.
Right.
And this wasn't about ambushing. This can be intimidating for people.
Oh, absolutely.
But I think-
Cameras and microphones intimidate people, but
Yeah.
I could see her coming out of the shell, and by the end of it, we were laughing and joking and
Yeah.
all. But I thought
Yeah.
found that interesting. A lot of artists are that way, though. They're naturally shy, right?
I think artists,
Right.
we tend to be very hard on ourselves too.
sure.
And so our intention when we have an opportunity to have a conversation with you is to do a good job.
Yeah.
And so I think there's a
Yeah,
level
I-
of confidence
I try to
that
keep that in mind. I've been doing this a long time, but it really is a phenomenon. When
Yeah.
you turn a camera on or
Yeah.
your
Oh.
microphones, people
Yeah.
don't want to look foolish.
yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And people don't want to be too vulnerable
Yeah.
or to this or to that.
Yeah.
And so the other thing that you are involved in, do you still teach? Do you still have your
A little
studio?
bit. I do quite a bit of things, Tom. I take care of my family,
Yeah.
and I keep everyone on track.
Yeah. I want
And
to talk to you about your
so-
gardening because
Oh.
Yeah, he's the gardener.
Are you a gardener?
I'm deep into gardening right
Oh.
now. I'm 77.
Yeah.
I had some health issues the last couple of years, so I've slowed down.
Yeah.
But Fortunately, I have some great neighborhood kids who help me. But
Yeah.
I put in this big garden, and now I have to tend to it.
Yeah,
He did too.
call it garden yoga.
Yeah.
Heather does yoga,
You know,
and I.
Facebook keeps putting these ads on that they're wanting me to buy these $70 benches that
Oh,
turn
of
into
course.
kneelers. The
Right.
algorithm has figured out
They
that
figured out-
that I need to buy one of these. And anyway, no, my irises are out, and my teacher taught me how to plant things so you have something fabulous to look out throughout the whole season.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Tulips and daffodils,
Yes.
and then the iris, and then the next
Yeah.
wave
The
of
seasons.
whatever. I love it. So you
Yeah.
have,
So Heather is our flower.
I do the flowers.
gardener.
He does the veggies.
And I
Yeah,
grow
but-
food.
Yeah.
I don't do veggies.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
too many critters in my
Yeah.
neighborhood.
I have at the cabin. I put a fence within a fence in order to navigate that
So that's right. You
potentiality.
have a cabin in Unionville. Where is Unionville?
You can
It's
talk about
east.
that.
Yeah, it's east of Bloomington.
Okay.
And
Is
I
that
guess
Brown County?
Nearby.
right
Nearby.
next to Brown. So we have we live in Monroe County, but we have Brown County aesthetics.
Okay.
So it's really
this
quite
is your
lovely.
second home. You have another place in Yorktown.
The Yorktown is a result of my position at Ball State, which
Gotcha.
happened this year.
You talk
And-
about that. So go on. You're
Yeah.
talking about the cabin.
Yeah, about 4 years ago, in the height of the COVID madness, Heather and I were looking at each other, and we were empty nesters at the time. And I was teaching a lesson, and I came up from the lesson. We had a studio in the lower part of the house. And Heather said, "Look at this cabin." She had gone on Zillow, and there was a cabin. And I said, "Why don't we go take a look at it?" Okay. We looked at it the next day and put an offer in, and that's the place.
What
that
year
we-
was it built?
Built
Built
in
in-
1983.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So,
So-
it's not. It's the settlers didn't build it.
No, it's quite elegant. Yeah, it has a beautiful soaring cathedral ceiling with a
Okay.
fireplace.
Okay.
And
Nevertheless.
Yeah.
really
Oh my
nice. Yeah.
gosh.
So there was a guy in Bloomington who was an entrepreneur. He started a Greek restaurant called the Trojan Horse.
Oh,
And
that was my favorite.
we
Oh,
love
yeah,
it too.
no,
yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh my
We
gosh.
ate there all the time in
I
college,
love
and
that
it's
place.
still one of our favorites. But his name is Denny, and his wife Peggy was an educator at
Unionville,
Unionville
yeah.
Elementary School.
Okay.
And they decided for fun they would learn how to build log cabins. So they took some classes. They practiced on some other houses, fortunately for us. And then they set about as a family to build this cabin. And so our cabin is 3 stories, and it's on 18
Wow.
acres. And
That's
we
not
have
a cabin.
Oh,
That's right.
it's a log home.
It's a log home,
And,
right.
I
right.
love that. Is it like with the timbers and then the what is it?
You can see the rough logs on the
the
inside.
stuff in between. What's it called?
Oh,
Chinking.
chinking. Oh, yeah.
It's,
Yep.
it's
well,
that, right?
ours doesn't look like a
Well, it's-
Lincoln log
Yeah,
cabin.
it's what they call D logs. So it's
Gotcha.
flat on one side and round on
It's
the
kind of
outside.
like what you see out in Colorado on those.
Mhm, yeah, yeah.
And they harvested the state tree, the
The
tulip
tulip
poplar.
poplar.
And so our logs are very dense. You
So-
can't hear anything in
So
there.
do you go back and forth between your 2 homes?
Yes.
Yeah, we navigate that.
How do you
Uh,
figure when you want to be at each? You have to.
Well, I have
Employment.
certain, yeah. At Ball State, I'm there 4 or 5
You have
days a week.
gardens in Yorktown too.
Not
Not
yet.
yet.
Although I have designs, Tom.
Yeah.
You've got to tell him before we go on, tell
Yeah.
him how big your garden is because you built a monstrosity.
Well, it's 65 by 50, I think, roughly.
That's feet.
Yeah, which is, yeah.
Yeah. That's
and then
a,
he
and-
built a huge enclosure.
Yeah.
That's a lot of
So-
mulching.
Yeah.
Do you annuals and perennials?
Yes, both. So I have my perennials are blueberries, strawberries,
Oh, I see.
raspberries, and
Well,
blackberries.
you're talking about the veggies.
Yeah.
What about
Veggies.
the
For her,
flowers?
it's-
We have a lot of deer out there,
Yeah.
so we
Yeah,
have
that's
to
right.
keep that in mind.
Yeah.
But we have beautiful columbine that just grows wild, and it's the yellow-pink variety, so I noticed that
Oh,
right away.
so
And
delicate.
bluebells, a lot of bluebells, and a lot of fern, Tom, which is just beautiful, and peonies right now.
Hostas? Do you have
A lot of
yeah.
hostas. I have them in the front of the house, but I have to spray.
Different varieties?
Yes.
Lots.
Yeah.
Yes.
Big ones, giant ones?
They're not huge, but because the deer will nibble
deer
on them
will
if I'm
prowl.
not
I know
careful.
that.
Yes,
Yeah.
they love hostas.
Snails
so.
and slugs love them too.
Yeah.
Just laid
There's-
out yesterday.
It's an there's an herbal spray. We try not to do any pesticides.
Sure.
So there's an herbal spray that seems to work pretty well. But yep, and then we have lots of dogwood and redbud trees that are just scattered throughout the woods,
That
and
sounds
daffodils.
lovely. Do you have pets?
Yeah, we
Leo
have
and Enzo. There
two
are
mini golden doodles.
They're
Oh, that's right,
Leonardo
you
and
mentioned
Lorenzo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they love it out at the cabin.
Why golden doodles?
We always had animals from the Humane Society. So over the past 20 years, we had 3 mixed breeds. When our son graduated from high school and Dan graduated with his doctorate from IU in 2019, we had just lost 2 of our girls, the pups. And I decided no more dogs.
Yeah.
One day, do you mind if I tell
Go
that
ahead.
story? One day, Dan was out in the backyard, and our next door neighbor had just gotten a puppy named George. And George was a yellow lab, and our neighbor was playing in the backyard, and he was saying, "Oh, your daddy's good boy," and making over him. And Dan was next to the fence crying. And I said, "What is wrong with you?" And he said, "We need to get a dog. We've got to get a dog." And I said, "No more dogs." And he goes, "Please." I said,
I understand. I had
Yes.
2 dogs, 14 years each. I raised them from puppy to senior.
Oh.
Yeah.
It broke my heart when I had to put
Yeah.
them both
Terrible.
down.
Yep.
So I now have cats. So
Yeah.
I really miss the dog
Oh, yeah.
experience. It's an experience. Cats, it's different.
They're more independent typically.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
we decided that this time around we were coming on our 25th anniversary. And so we decided we would get brothers. And we
Oh.
decided he would give me one and I would give him
Oh.
one. So we went up to a breeder who was on a farm not far from Zionsville. And we decided we would just look at golden doodles. We didn't know anything about them
Yeah.
other than some of the specifics we were looking for, like hypoallergenic and all that. And I said to Dan and our son Nick, we are not going to be pressured to buy one. We're just going to look and see if we resonate with the breed. So do you know what they do, Tom? It's a great sales pitch. We walk into this little room about this size, and they bring in about
They
6
release
little
the puppies
Of
and they walk
course.
over you
Oh,
like
that-
little
and they
Ewoks.
kiss you, and
Yeah,
within
and then all that puppy breath.
Oh, they're so cute. About 10 seconds into that, Dan turned to me and he said, "Did you bring the checkbook?" And I said, "All right, so you have to put a deposit down for
I
future."
love that.
So we've got our guys, and they're the best.
Yeah.
Okay, back to your art. Tell me about why Ball State and how you ended up there.
I had a colleague, Kara Chowning, who is also the director of the Indianapolis Opera Chorus, who was at Ball State, and she is the coach repetiteur for the opera program. And this is the coach repetiteur is the person who guides young singers into having their languages correct, their musical styles correct. So she's a pianist, conductor, and she's able to guide them into having all of these skills combined into what we see as a complete performance. And so I reached out to Kara, and she said, I have need for an adjunct. This was 2.5 years ago. And I said, I had taught at University of Indianapolis for 7 years, and it was a wonderful experience.
Oh, I'd forgotten that.
Yeah, with my colleague Kathy Hacker,
Yes,
who
of
was in A
course.
Little Night Music
Yeah,
as
she
well.
was my mom.
Yeah,
Yep.
fantastic
Oh, she
colleague.
was amazing in
Yeah.
that role.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh.
And I had given up being an adjunct, but I talked to Kara, and she said, I have need for an adjunct for someone who's going on sabbatical. And so I said, okay, I'll do that if you think that there may be some opportunity down the road. And she said, yeah, it looks like we're going to need a full-time person, if not 2. And that ended up 3 semesters of adjuncting, which then that position opened up while I was there. And I applied for it. It worked out. About this time last year, I heard that I was going to be hired as a full-time assistant professor, tenure line faculty at Ball
Well,
State.
that kind of parallels everything else they seem to be doing at Ball State, upgrading everything. They're
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
really serious contenders.
Absolutely.
IU, their
Yeah.
musical theater program,
It's
for instance,
outstanding.
under Bill
Right.
Jenkins.
Yes, yeah,
The
he's
singers
doing great
that he's
work.
turning out, the musical theater stuff. It's very competitive right
Yeah,
now with IU,
yeah.
I think. That'll never be
Well,
at the same
that's-
level as
it's a-
Jacobs. So we're talking about
Exactly.
musical theater at least.
Yeah.
Right.
But they want to up
But
their
we-
program.
Yeah,
in-
so I'm
in
teaching
opera.
in the classical side of
Do you
things.
get
in the opera
involved, though,
program.
with musical theater there?
Not yet. I have colleagues over there, and we talk, but
They take advantage of your experience.
Yeah.
And are you
We'll see.
interested in getting involved over there too? Heather?
Not in a teaching capacity,
No.
but I'm feeling out my calling. Let's put it that
Yeah.
way. I would love to find a way to offer Reiki to some of the students
Oh, I see.
as a therapeutic stress reliever. And I would love to do some recital work with Daniel. We
Yeah.
have a recital that we're planning.
Keep me informed of that.
Well.
And what will it consist of?
So we've always wanted to present a recital program about couples. And
Sure.
so we were just kicking around the idea of having different stages, different chapters in one's relationship.
And will you use music that fits from the repertoire? There's gotta be
We're
ton-
opening it wide
Yeah.
open,
Full
classical
musical
too.
theater.
Tons of
Yeah.
that stuff.
Yeah, because we
Well-
could devise something musical theater, but I think it would be more interesting if we can open it up.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to have so many choices.
Yeah.
I
Right.
just think it's so
Yeah.
many musicals.
Yeah,
Right.
when we
Yeah.
recorded our project, Our Broadway Romance in
Yes.
2015, I
Yeah,
think that recording
Recording.
project ignited that
Yeah.
interest, that idea.
Yeah.
At some point, we need to take the time and create a program as a husband and wife.
While we're on that subject, talk about your recordings.
The first recording that I created was at Airborne Studios. That was 2001. From basically 1989, when I sang my first professional Pops concert, was with Eric Kunzel and the Cincinnati Pops Orchestra. Through the 90s, I would always be greeting and signing autographs after the performance, and inevitably people would come through and ask, "Where's your recording?" Because Eric was selling his boatload of recordings.
And back then, we had CDs.
Yeah, there were CDs
Yeah.
back then.
Yeah, yeah.
And at some point, I thought maybe I should just make my debut recording. And so I talked to Eric, who volunteered to conduct
Wow.
on that recording. And we talked about what needs to be on there. And there are 13 selections, everything from Without a Song from Great Day, that is almost 100 years old, to Memory from Cats, an arrangement of that.
And you were in the cast of Cats.
I was in a cast of
In
Cats
Germany.
in Germany
Yeah.
in 1995.
And you played
That's
Deuteronomy?
Old Deuteronomy, yeah, for years.
Okay.
Nur auf Deutsch, singing in German. But that recording, boy, I listen to that still today, and I'm so proud of it. At the time when I was working on it, I was fussing, and you're super critical, hypercritical about, because I produced it as well. But that was the first recording. And then a few years later, the gentleman who conducted me in Cats, Alexander Fry, was working with the same manager at the time. And Alex had a project of Leonard Bernstein's Peter Pan, which the whole recording had never been created. There was some incidental music that was composed, as well as a soliloquy, Captain Hook's soliloquy, that had never been recorded. Evidently, I think it was Lawrence Tibbett had toured it in the late 60s and had it in the show, but nobody had ever recorded this. So Alex approached me to sing the role of Captain Hook, included Captain Hook's soliloquy, and my co-star on that is Linda Eder.
Linda Eder, wow, that's a name to drop.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
For those listening, she's musical theater, cabaret, concerts.
She's the modern
she's
day
got a beautiful
Streisand.
voice.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Love
Yeah.
her singing.
Yeah, how would you describe that voice?
Oh, it's
It's rich. It's
silvery,
and it's very
trumpet-like, but it's not pressed, which is so wonderful to hear. Somebody who goes into that belt style, and it doesn't become what my colleagues will jokingly refer to as a skrelt, somewhere between a scream and a belt.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
a Terry LeBeau
When I
term.
review
yeah.
singers, I run out of adjectives. There are only so many. So then I have to like think of things to compare them to. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well-
but she's an original.
Yeah, and you have to recognize
Yeah.
that in the profession, you're doing this 8 shows a week.
Yeah.
So if your technique is not solid, you're going to burn out pretty
And
quickly.
you know, as a reviewer, I don't remember what I said about you both. It was that same thing. How do I describe for people? What is so unique is that you're two together as a couple, and yet you're two performers who have very unique tones. And you can't describe that for people sometimes. It's time to pause to hear Heather and Daniel sing a duet.
I know why all the world is fine and fair, and why there's music in the air to listen to.
If all the world is fine and fair, and if there's music in the air, the song is you.
I know
there are ripples on a stream, and when it's wonderful to dream, the dream is you. Your shadow when it's warm,
your shelter from a storm,
your every lovely form I ever knew. And so now, when they say heaven's high above, I wonder what they're thinking of. It can't be true. There is no heaven high above. Heaven is somebody to love as I love you.
I'm glad that we've got music so
Yes.
we can hear it. The proof's in the pudding,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I also forgot to mention, I saw you both in an opera fundraiser. Fundraiser, the cabaret.
The cabaret,
Right.
yes.
A
Yeah.
few years ago, it was at a restaurant downtown.
Yeah.
I loved that.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
that was
so-
a lot of
They're
fun.
not
Fantastic
doing that
format.
cabaret thing anymore.
I think they did it
did
this
last-
past
yeah.
year.
Did
I think
they?
they did, yes.
Did they? Okay.
I think it's an annual event. It
Okay.
just
But it's for donors and it's limited. People
Right.
don't know what they missed.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
Fabulous.
Right.
And I think it
Fabulous.
also gives an opportunity to highlight the young artists, and that's an important.
Have you guys ever done a cabaret show together?
We haven't.
No, but
We've
that's
done
something that-
concerts,
yeah.
but
This story that you're telling me, I produced cabaret. I could never afford the two of you, but
Come on, Tom, let's talk.
we'll talk.
someone really, you need to be in a cabaret
Yeah.
show. It's
Yeah.
entertaining, the
Yeah.
repertoire that you have,
Yeah.
the stuff that you could be in.
And we have a lot of life stories.
Yeah.
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 No, trust me, as a reviewer, I've seen
Yeah.
the best.
Yeah.
And the ones that I love the most are those who mix it up. Some people
Yeah.
just talk about their careers and name
Right.
drop, do anecdotes and
No.
all that. And some get very personal.
Oh, yeah.
Very
Yeah.
personal.
Yeah.
Talk about their alcoholism or
Yeah.
their divorces or
Yeah.
whatever. And then some are just like very extemporaneous. Just
Yeah.
go out there and interact.
Yeah.
But the thing that ties it all together, the ones that I appreciate the most, and I'm sure you are, they're usually really good actors as well, performers. They
Yeah.
make each song a little piece of theater.
I think because we've been teachers all these years too, I've learned so much through my teaching. It has helped me become a stronger
Yeah.
performer, you know.
And I also want to touch on your TV career. I see that you've done voice work, but you've also appeared on television and concerts. It mentioned documentaries. I'm intrigued. What did you do for
so
documentaries?
early on, this would have been, I think, about 92 or 93, I was asked to fly over to Hamburg to do some recording and video work on a production called Kurt Weill in America.
Yes.
I'm a stranger here myself, and Judy Kay was the feature in that particular
Gotcha.
production. Kevin Anderson also was my colleague, and Frank D'Ambrosio, who was the son in Godfather 3, I want to say. Yeah. And so it was a really great cast. And that was the first time
Is
I
that
did
available
that.
anywhere to see?
It's not. I'm trying to track it down. I know there's a copy in the New York Public Library. So next time I'm in New
We
York,
have to watch
I'm
it.
gonna have to
So
get
it's
there.
not online anywhere. on
No, it's
YouTube,
not.
right?
It's an oddity that it's
Yeah.
not easily available. Although there's a
Wasn't that a BBC?
yeah, there was a BBC
Yeah.
Hessischer Rundfunk.
Get the German out.
Yeah, sorry. Hessischer Rundfunk.
And then you did a PBS special with Eric Kunzel,
Yeah,
too,
and that was with the Naples Philharmonic, and that played on PBS.
with Federico von
on
Stade.
Stade.
Yeah.
And you both have performed with symphony orchestras around the country. What are some of your favorite experiences? Heather, you talk about, what are some of your favorite performance experiences? I know
Yeah.
that's a lot to ask.
Yeah, I think, if I may, I played the role of Eliza Doolittle in My Fair Lady, and I think for me that was probably...
Is that a concert version?
No, it was the full stage
scale.
version. We did 8 shows a week, and
Wow,
I just
okay.
absolutely
So it
loved
wasn't
that role.
okay, that's not a symphony.
Yeah, it wasn't a symphony, but thinking of some
produced
favorite
it?
things.
Was it a
That was
touring?
no, it was a theater company called Candlelight Theater.
Okay.
And I really enjoyed that role very much. Any symphony orchestra opportunity for me has been a joy. Singing with a symphony is the best.
What is that like, you guys?
You
What
think
is
of
that
all of
like?
the instruments behind you and that
wall of
energy
sound.
and that collaboration. But I think now that I have had a moment, when I was pregnant with our son Nick, I was 5 months pregnant, and we had a very difficult time achieving a pregnancy. So this was a really big blessing in our life. We had booked a concert with the Waterbury Symphony in Connecticut to sing at I guess it
Old
was an
theater,
old
yeah.
theater, but it had just been renovated up in Torrington, Connecticut. The Palace Theater. There are probably thousands of Palace theaters around the country. But we did a musical theater, night of musical theater.
Arthur Fiedler celebration.
Yeah, and we sang together, and I was pregnant, and I still remember just being so happy, and just the celebration of being able to sing with Dan and knowing that we were going to start a family. And so for many reasons, that's probably the best experience. And you even said from the stage, Heather's pregnant, and I was big.
I had her
and I
turned
was
to the
like,
side.
okay, I think they know that. So that, and
Well, you
the
can
other-
never assume that they know.
And the other thing, and then you can answer, when I was in the Miss America pageant out in Atlantic City in that huge boardwalk hall, which is such an incredible place, I sang the aria Ernani and Volami, which is a Verdi opera, Ernani, and I won talent that night.
Yes.
And so standing on stage singing, that was with a recorded orchestra, so that doesn't really count, but standing on stage, that was
Nevertheless.
incredible to have that kind of
We
experience.
have something in common.
Yeah.
I actually was a judge for a pageant in a county near Fort Wayne.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, because I had a sister-in-law who is a pageant
Person.
and
Yeah.
she asked me to come down and judge, and I'll never forget what a moving experience it was. It really was, because I was treated like this big celebrity. I wore a tux, and people came into this high school. It was like a county pageant.
Yeah.
And there were the judges from Indianapolis, and all of these contestants came in with their banners representing their various pageants. They came from Miss Blueberry or Miss Turtle Days of Churubusco.
Yeah. All different.
I loved it,
Yeah.
and I hope they'd ask me back.
Yeah.
Anyway,
What's really special about, I'll just speak to the Miss America organization
Sure.
because that's my only reference, and I've been very, very passionate about volunteering for years as a judge in other capacities. It's an opportunity for young women to have the experience of interview, of being on stage, many different skill sets that really help them grow. And I was a very shy person before I participated, and I went on television interviews and interviews like this, and I came out of my shell, and that really helps a lot of people.
Heather, I have to tell you, though, I was pretty hard on those poor people. I
That's
came
okay.
in for, like a TV reporter. I asked them, like, what do you think about the Vietnam War?
Well, good. That's good.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, do you happen to know local performer, community theater performer, Marnie Lemons? Because she's
I've heard of
very much
Marnie.
involved
Yeah.
in the
Miss Indiana?
yeah, Miss America. in
Yeah,
general.
yes,
Surprised you
I've
don't
heard.
know each other.
I've heard of Marnie.
Well,
Yeah.
after she hears the show,
Yeah.
you're going to get a phone call.
No, I judged Miss Indiana a couple years ago, and I
Yeah.
know the CEOs, and
Why am I not surprised you were a pageant?
I have no idea. But I was never very interested in pageants until I had a coworker in New Jersey bug me enough to see what it was all
Yeah.
about, and then I was hooked.
So all the big prestigious venues and the experience you had, I can't imagine how you could you single out a few that really?
Yeah, early on I sang Escamillo and Carmen in a bullring in Querétaro, Mexico, with Enrique Batiz, who is well-known. Querétaro,
Near Guanajuato and San Miguel.
Yeah.
I've been there.
Yeah.
The aqueducts.
Really beautiful production way back then. And my entrance was in a horse-drawn, a Clydesdale-drawn
Really?
carriage during the Escamillo's Viva Viva le Torero, which is the chorus is singing. And there I come, sweeping around the bullring, and then they had a stage. Yeah, it was wild.
And it was an actual bullfight.
And there was an actual
Did
bullfight.
they-
I did not have to fight the
Did
bull,
they
though.
film it? Or
No,
They should
no,
have.
that would have been, yeah.
Wow.
So that one was early on, and that was very
Querétaro
exciting.
is one of my fondest memories. That it was very European. It's like being in Europe,
Yeah.
in Spain. So,
Yeah.
anyway,
And then
others?
let's see, meeting Robert Goulet and performing with
That's
him
right.
was just a delight.
And you played Lancelot.
Lancelot,
How
opposite
many
his
years?
King
How many
Arthur.
years?
It was
5
about
months.
a 5-month tour.
Yeah.
So
How old were you?
gosh, how old was I?
30?
Yeah, I was
So you were
30-ish.
still
Yeah.
impressionable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Were they pinch me moments, or at the time, like we were talking about in the moment?
Oh, I knew who
special-
Robert Goulet was.
You
Yeah,
knew
and
how special that
Yeah,
was.
and so we rehearsed. We were at the Fox Theater in Atlanta, and first time I met him, I tell this story whenever I perform the "If Ever I Would Leave You." But when I first met him, I was singing the song on the stage with the music director, and finished the song, and I heard that voice pierced through my head. That was great, kid.
Yeah, every time I hear his name, I think of that line, that lyric and chorus line.
Yeah.
I don't know which
yeah,
character.
yeah.
Robert Goulet, Robert
Yeah.
Goulet, Robert.
Right. Yeah.
Can you
So-
tell him
and
the
then-
quick? Go ahead. Tell
Yeah.
him the story about the zoo with
Oh, yeah.
Buddy Cianci.
With Mayor Cianci in Providence, Rhode Island. Yeah, where Goulet, Buddy Cianci at that time was mayor of Providence. And he was talking after the show with Robert Goulet and with me and with some of our other actors. And he said, "Hey, we should take you to the zoo." And Robert said, "Yeah, okay, why don't you take us to the zoo now?" And he did.
It was about 1 in the morning.
We were there.
But he
Robert
sang to the
singing to the
lions.
giraffes. And it was
Wow.
crazy.
Those are.
But, yeah.
You know what, you guys? This has just been so much fun.
Thank-
I knew it would be.
Yeah.
I didn't know you, but I feel like I've got to know you in
Yeah,
this
likewise.
short time
Yeah.
together. Thank you so much for taking the time. You know what? I would love to have you come back.
Sure.
That'd be great.
We just touched the tip of the iceberg.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Love
well,
it.
thank you so much for joining me today. And next time I can see you perform is when? What are you got coming
Let's see,
up?
I'm
Is there anything
singing
going
up
on?
in Whiting, Indiana with the Whiting Park Festival Orchestra on the edge of Lake Michigan.
Okay,
Really
when is
beautiful.
that?
That's in August
August
16th.
16th.
Okay.
With
Do
the-
you both have a website, or do you have a website?
Yeah,
Who
you
has
could
a
go to
website?
my
How can they-
website. Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
tell me your-
DanielNarducci.com.
Okay.
So
And do you
that'll
have
help.
Facebook pages?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how so people can find you on Facebook?
Sure.
What, on
Yeah.
all the platforms?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks again.
Thank you,
Excellent.
Tom.
Thank you, Tom.
Let's close the show with Heather and Daniel singing "And What If We Had Loved Like That."
You and me, the perfect pair. No one questioned it, who would dare? Others flamed, but they burned out. We kept rolling along. So it's hard to say what happened to us since nothing really went wrong. We know the words, but we've forgotten the song. And now I'm asking if I loved you. What does it matter that I loved you? Whatever way it was, I loved you. It wasn't enough to get us the whole way through. I never simply said I need you. I never told you when you hurt how I cry. Some people dare to risk the flak and never hold their feelings back. And what if we had loved like that, you and I?
Off we set, our lives insured, dreams computed, loans secured. Others floundered, had no plan. Our direction was clear, and the fact that leaves me so astonished is never once did we fear. The road was straight and true that brought us to here. And now I'm asking if I love you. What does it matter that I love you? Whatever way it was, I loved you. It wasn't enough to get us the whole way through. I never asked for what I needed. Or let you see my faith and strength was a lie. Some people get beyond the fear and really talk and really hear. And what if we had loved like that, you and I?
Some people kiss restraint goodbye and really let the dishes fly and really laugh and really cry. And now I'm asking if I love you. It's good to ask how much I loved you. had us the whole way through. I never filled your room with roses.
I never woke you up with music.
Or hired a plane to write your name across the sky. Some people take things to the brink.
Some people feel they need to think.
I trade the comfort that we bought.
If only once we really thought.
Yes, maybe still we'd not survive.
But we'd at least have been alive.
Have really been alive. You and I. And what if we had loved like that?
Our thanks go out to our media sponsor, Urban Times. Urban Times is a monthly news magazine which serves as the official newsletter for 15 Indianapolis neighborhoods, offering news about development, arts and entertainment, and from the business community. Thank you for joining me on the aisle. Please subscribe to my podcast, and if you want to hear previous episodes, find them on the All Indiana Podcast Network, or listen to them wherever you get your podcasts. This is Tom Alvarez.
Who will take center stage on the podcast next? Your seat on the aisle with Tom Alvarez awaits. Follow Tom on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and make sure to visit tomalvarez.studio. Watch Tom every other Thursday on Lifestyle Live on Wish TV, and make sure to listen every week here on the All Indiana Podcast Network.